Time is now 5:21 on a Monday morning. I just have enough time to get back to town, make a deposit at the bank, fuel up, and park it. It should take about 20 minutes to get into town and 20 minutes to do those two other things, and then I won't be late for Mr. Punctual. I got just a little over 400 on right now. I've had a busy night until 3:30, and then for an hour and a half it was dead. Then this thing gave me a trip. What the hell? I was just interrupted by a phone call from our office so that they could tell me something that I knew already about how this thing functions. If I don't touch it for half an hour, it will give me a warning that it's going to boot me off unless I interact with it now. So I interacted with it, and apparently it was giving me that warning that I'm going to get booted off. At the same time as underneath that warning, it was giving me a trip. So first I get the warning that I'm going to get booted off, so I interact with the screen, and then I see a trip come up, and I'm interacting with the trip. I'm replying to the trip, and then after I hit reply or answer the trip, it says you have received a time penalty because you have missed a trip. So there's something wrong with it. Anyway, after it tells me that I've missed the trip, it assigns the trip to somebody else. Now, the trip went to the airport, and the reason I know this is because the car that was given that trip ended up at the airport just ahead of me, and he was leaving the airport when I got there. Now, then I was given another trip, and fortunately that one also went to the airport, so it all worked out. But there is something severely wrong with this machine. Something severely wrong with the computer, that it has to kick you off, or it has to warn you that it's going to kick you off if you haven't touched it for half an hour. The old system we used to have gave you 2 hours. Anyways, I'm not in favor of that, and the dispatcher was telling me that I should interact with the screen every 20 minutes or so in between trips. And I say, well, how can I do that when I'm sleeping? Good gosh. I work my ass off till 3:30 in the morning. Then I finally get some rest. I can finally get some sleep. And then the thing wakes me up to tell me it's going to kick me off because I haven't interacted with it in the last half hour. And then to add injury to insult, it tries to give me a trip underneath that warning that it's going to try and kick me off. Anyway, I'm glad the night is over. I just got to make a deposit, just got to fuel up, and then I'm going to go home after I park it. Well, it's Tuesday morning. The time is now 5:18. I'm going to call it quits just because I have an appointment at 7, and I also got to clean the car up. I got to wash it. I got to clean up in here, wipe up all the surfaces, make it presentable, wash the mats, the whole thing. Am I more visible now with the light on? Yeah, maybe. Anyway, this night was a little bit more relaxed. I've got about 260, 270 on. There were times earlier on where it was a little busy, but for most of the night it was pretty quiet. Like I said, I've got about 100 or more than 100 less than I usually get. I'm not complaining though. I like not being stressed. I like not being rushed. I like not having to hurry. I did have to hurry a couple times as the night went on, but it wasn't for half the night. It wasn't even for 1/4 of the night. I'm okay with that. I don't mind making a little bit less money if I have a lot less stress. So it's, yeah. Probably the rest of the week is going to be busier. It just has a way of doing that. That's what happened last week. The Monday night was actually quite pleasant because it wasn't so busy. And this was the Monday night again. Maybe it's a trend. The rest of the week will probably be busier. So yeah, I head out of town to View Royal to wash the car because the car washes down here are closed or no good. Not a problem. Just a few minutes drive one way, a few minutes drive back. Then I got to deposit a bit of money in the bank. Detail the interior. I said that already, didn't I? Fuel up, park it, go home, walk to the chiropractor. Whew. I'm tired. Well, that's it. That's all. Well, it's 4:43 a.m. and I just dropped off at the airport. You can see it's kind of ugly out there. It's raining, and the night was okay in that it was, the weather wasn't bad. It wasn't. And somewhere around midnight, it had, well, okay, I'll tell you what. I started out coming to work and noticing that the owner was still at the cab. And on a day when I arrive at 6:30, he's usually gone. I was not expecting to see him, but he was saying that he was having some problems with charging the tablet and the Interac machine. So we had to find the right pieces to make it work, because the ones that had been hooked up before, there was something defective going on. So we got things to work, and now they do. They don't work the same way as they used to, but they work. Okay. It took me, or it took us, an hour to set it up in such a way that it actually works. So I only got on the board at 7:30, and I cleared my first trip at 8. In the next 4 hours, I had 15 trips. I'm not kidding. It was insane. By midnight, it slowed down again. Then I had my generous customer go for a $24 ride and paid me $40. And then I had a few calls, but the morning was relatively quiet. And there I was. I went to sleep about 4 times while watching videos. And this last one, I was sleeping and I got awakened to bring some people to the airport. And so that's what happened. I brought some people to the airport, and now I'm heading back into town with about an hour left to go. If I'm sitting at 5:30, I will just pull the plug because we got Mr. Punctual coming to work in the morning, and I really don't want to see him. Yeah. And that's about it. I've got about 320 on, 330, something like that. It's good enough considering that I was able to rest for the morning, for much of the morning. And oh, what is this? Some road maintenance or something going on here. All right, 2 more nights to go after this one. The time is now 5:24 a.m. on a Thursday. It's Thursday morning. There's a flower for Monica. Okay. Yeah, it was a busy night. It was one right after another for the most part. I did not watch that many videos. I did not get to sleep very much. I got to the point where I was cursing every time I'd get a call because I wanted to sit in a parking lot for a little while. But no, I kept getting calls and kept getting calls and kept getting calls. Kept getting calls. I've got about 430. That's what I just counted, but I didn't go through the change exactly. So it's somewhere in that region. It's over $400. It's a lot. The fuel will probably be about $35, $38, something like that, and the lease will be $100. So let's figure in 140. So yeah, that's almost $300 clear profit in my pocket. Yeah. I'm just tired of driving. I'm tired of working. I'm tired. I've probably said it before, but I would like the government to just give me my pension now. And to hell with waiting for 7 years to get it. Notice how daylight is upon us now at 5:30. There's the sunrise gonna come up in those clouds. What else? Oh, I had one customer who stuttered so bad that I could not understand what he was saying. He was saying 11 view towers. Okay, great. And then other times he would say, like when he'd try to say something, he would stutter, and then he'd say damn when he couldn't get the word out. And then after he got out of the car, he went, got my keys, got my phone, got my wallet, I'm good. And he didn't stutter a thing. At one point he was trying to ask me at what time I finished this morning. And I told him, oh, are you asking me what time I finish? Yeah, I quit at 6. So now at 5:28, I just got enough time to go wash the car. Been having some charging issues with the Interac down there and with the tablet there, and I've solved them. I've got them sorted out. I got them working properly and charging properly. I just had to get the right parts together that were in the trunk and plug them in such a way that everything works properly. Now it works. It works just fine. Anyways, not much else to talk about except I got one night left to go this week. And I can't wait for the weekend so I can actually get some rest. Time is now 5:30. 5:30 in the morning on Friday morning. I had a night that was not quite so busy, which I guess could be because it's a long weekend coming up and people have the Monday off, so they're putting stuff off until the weekend, perhaps. Anyway, it was not so busy at the beginning, but I had long trips. The first one was like $45. The second one was like $56. One going to the Western communities and another one coming right back. Great. And the average trip was larger than usual. I've got about 320 on, and I've only done 14 trips. So that's a good average. Usually I do 20 trips or more, or 18 trips, something like that. But tonight we only had 14 trips, and there was a couple times where I was being rushed a little bit. My very generous customer called me again. Give him a ride. That worked out really well. And so now I dropped off in Gordon Head and I'm heading back towards Uptown where I usually work. And it's also the area where I live. So I'll head down to Uptown, maybe watch a video or two, maybe get another fare, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's a quiet morning for the most part. Yeah, I'm exhausted. I was asleep before I got this last call. I had to struggle just to keep my eyes open to get to the address. One thing I noticed last night, there were a lot of people getting in the way. People walking right out in front of the car. There was one instance where I was taking a girl to a nightclub that was at the other end of an alley because you can't pull over on the side of the street anymore. They made a big bike lane and put a big curb there. You can't really pull over. There's no place to pull over anymore. So instead of taking the street and trying to pull over where you can't, I take her down the laneway that goes right to the nightclub. And there were some boys that wouldn't get out of the way. I'm trying to go down the alley and take this girl to the nightclub, and they would just be in the way and walking really slowly and prancing and dancing, and one of them looked like he'd pissed himself. I'm really glad I don't work downtown. Really, really glad I don't work downtown. Because that would be torture to me. Leave me out in the suburbs. That's where I prefer to work, in the suburbs. Well, not much else to talk about this time. So I hope yours is better than mine.